Usamos estampillas.
You are now tuned in to your number one radio station. Violent people. Radio.
Hey there, folks. Welcome to episode 2 of Saws Thots. I am one of your hosts, Sam Damasio. With me, per usual, Dan. How you doing?
Pretty good. I've seen about 2 of these movies, so I'm ready to go.
All right, okay. Chris?
I've seen everything except Spiral, which I don't acknowledge. I will never acknowledge it, so I will never watch it.
All right, we got a Chris Rock hater and Pat.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to see these movies. They're too violent.
I don't know about that. So last week,
You don't know that they're too violent, or that I'm not allowed?
they're too violent. They're just the right amount. They're just the right amount.
I don't know. My youth pastor kind of disagrees.
So I was on last week's episode, so I need to add some real thoughts to the Saw discussions that took place last week. First and foremost, Saw 2 is the best Saw.
Insane opinion.
Saw 3D, by far the worst Saw.
Jigsaw exists.
All other Saws are fine to good. That's really the
I can
definitive
get behind
take.
that.
This also includes Spiral from the Book of Saw, which Chris unfortunately has not seen, so he's not a Sawspert, really.
Yeah, it's from the Book of Saw.
I'm only sure that I've seen the first 2.
Read the text.
You can't say it's from the Book of Saw and then say it's Saw.
I do think it's very funny to be called From the Book of Saw. As I, for a long time, I did think it was Spiral, the Book of Saw, which feels more declarative.
Yeah, I'm learning this all right now.
The Saw
Real time.
video game, does that fit into any of this?
That's a great question.
Like,
I don't know.
Is the Saw video game canon?
I'm not
That's-
sure.
Was there any Saw novels? The novelization of Saw? Novelization of Saw?
Yeah, the Saw by Alan Dean Foster. That's a joke for like 2 people in the world.
Great. Reddit has a question. Novelizations. I just read the 3 novelizations of the last 3 Halloween movies and have to admit they're honestly better than the movies. Already an insane approach to this discussion. Yada, yada, yada.
Are there any Saw YA novels? Like the Saw Goosebumps?
No, I will imagine there is YA Saw fan fiction, though.
We don't need to explore that further.
Now, I have a question for Sam and Chris. When do you think we're going to get Goatee Gang 2009?
Well, that's
Because
going
then-
in the wrong direction.
Oh, I know. I figured you have to get all the way up to date and then backtrack, and then you can get into Saw the video game.
Is that what it released?
It was released in
2009?
2009. That's what I'm looking at on Wikipedia.
I don't know why I would. So 5 years after the first movie, we get
That is a
video
crazy
game.
time to jump on the video game bandwagon.
Right in time for Saw 6. One
It's
of the
set-
good Saws.
It's
One
set
of the-
between the
one of
first
the
and
best
second
Saws.
Saws. The only 2 Saws I've seen.
You're playing as Danny Glover in the video game.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Oh, that rules.
I do love that.
Oh, but I was saying I've only seen the first and second one, and I have the reversed ranking of you, Sam. The first one clears the second one by a lot.
Yeah.
The first one, also one of the good Saws, is just not as good as number 2. Which just is Saw as a haunted house.
There are 2 Saw video games.
Oh, there are.
All right.
There's
Oh, and the Goaty Gang is a freaking fraud. You guys didn't cover it in 2010.
Wow. We gotta stream this. We have a Twitch, so this is what we're doing. Saw 2, Flesh and Blood. Which, so does that mean there's like a different chronology for the Saw video games than
the Saw video games
some
are
movies?
set in Saw 1 and 2.
Yeah, both of them are. That's funny. So there's 2 video games set between the first and second Saw.
You play in the second one. You play as Danny Glover's son. You're investigating Danny Glover's death.
I've got so many questions.
Saw 10 also set between Saw 1 and 2.
There's a
There's a
lot
lot
going
happening.
on between those 2 movies.
Hot take, Saw 10, not that good.
Saw
Not that
10,
good.
maybe the best one.
Whoa.
So who would win between Saw and Hostel?
I like how you're insinuating that these are people. That Saw's a person and Hostel,
Okay, like
Hostel's a person.
the Hostel, the organization behind the Hostel from Hostel versus
John Jigsaw
and his-
John
Kramer.
Kramer?
versus John Kramer and his army of proteges and sex slaves and whatnot.
Is this cancer-ridden John Kramer?
This is they are both kind of at their ideal peaks. physically and
John
mentally.
Kramer always gets the dub.
You can't stop.
Even when he's
dead.
dead.
I'm glad we
That's
went the same
insane.
direction with that.
We have
Uh,
Sam and I have a lot of differing opinions on Saw films, but we can agree that John Kramer
the GOAT.
always the GOAT.
Yeah. So I'm glad we did talk this through and find common ground. As no, this was really some
It's
trials and
about-
tribulations getting here.
It's about having a dialogue.
Truly.
It feels unfair to be talking about this without Thumbtack Jack, though, your co-host.
Or
We'll get him
the
on next time.
Bev.
Or the Bev, special guest host.
When are we getting the Bev on for Saw Thoughts?
I think he would roll with it. If I invited them on, like he thinks it's a wrestling podcast, we just start talking about Saw. I know he's seen at least 5 of them, guaranteed.
We talked about this. Any deathmatch wrestler has seen at least half of the Saw films.
I always,
All right,
you
go
know,
to
I always considered RSP kind of a John Kramer brain.
Bev.
There's no way he can log in the letterbox. He's a
There
Facebook
is there's
guy.
a user named the Bev, but there is nothing in the profile. No favorite films. No activity.
He forgot his password.
Yeah, we'll have to help him out with that one. Get him set up.
I hate
All right,
to
so that's
I hate
been
to interrupt this with some wrestling news. This is breaking news. Let me find a little 1 second here. Breaking news. Here, let's try this. Timothy Thatcher versus Charlie Dempsey on a WWN show.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it in the sense that it really gives you something to think about. Like, is WWN real?
Apparently, Battle of Belts 2024. That's
What belts?
they're battling for him. That's a crazy booking. I love it.
Good for Saul. That's what I'm saying all the time. Good for him.
Good for Saul. Good for Gabe.
WMNlive.com, a objectively good looking website. That definitely works when you click around on it, and it takes you exactly where you expect to go.
So is Gabe still involved with WWN, or are they somehow like? Is it all Sal now, or
Well, I think him and Sal are probably still buddies, you know?
yeah? Because you haven't heard about any WWE ID prospects coming out of like FIP.
Well, that's a given. That's a given. If they've worked FIP, they're really
They're already tainted.
ID'd by FIP.
They're ID'd by
New
the
They're
Sid,
already on
DJ
the
Hyde.
They're on some lists.
October 31st was the last piece of news from WNLive.com, where Gabe and TNA producer Ace Steel are going to run is it a seminar? Nope, just a wrestling camp, a premier wrestling camp, sorry, in December. So if you are based out of the, let's say, Clearwater area, make sure you hit that up and be scouted by two of the greats, Ace Steel and Gabe Sapolsky. So,
Oh, that's the same. You can see the Battle of the Belts. That's that same weekend.
I will be honest with you. I thought that it said December 1st.
Oh,
No,
it's 14th.
that S is a 5.
Yeah, it's the
S is a
14th and
5.
15th. Yeah.
They should have used the graphic designer from the poster, because at least I can read the 15th.
Celebrating 23 years of WWN's legacy. What do you guys think its legacy is?
Greatness.
Oh, all right. The poster's cool too, because it doesn't have a picture of Gabe or Ace. There's like, we'll just put their names on here.
You get it. It's in chicken scratch as well.
Oh, standout participants will have the opportunity to train with Ace Steel.
Wow. Just like CM Punk.
I'm glad he
Just
landed
like
on his
CM Punk. And all of his other noted trainees.
Apparently there's some Final Destination books out there, but no
I've been trying to find
novelizations.
Thumbtack Jack's letterbox profile, and it's not coming up.
Come on, Jack, get together.
I assume he has one, but he's keeping it. If you go to letterbox.com/thumbtackjack, it's a Turkish person, who I do not believe is the famous German Thumbtack
I like the
Jack.
way you're approaching this, because I had a buddy in high school who was always like emailing like bradpitt@gmail.com. Jennifer Aniston at like Gmail. Like that was his way of like, he's like, I'm going to hit one eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Okay.
is now getting scammed by Twitter people.
I remember even at 14 being like, hey, okay, let's say you hit the right email. They have to also want to respond to what you're saying.
Hi, yes, this is George Clooney. I need $5,000 right now.
You're going to say no to George Clooney.
I'm not.
Yeah. After all he's done for us.
Millions of people said no to George Clooney a few weeks ago, and it was very sad.
Oh man, I'll be honest with you. I looked up. I said Thumbtack Jack, real name.
It's
Now I've
Alexander Bedranowski.
Which has not been helpful for finding his
But
letterbox.
that's not Jack at all.
Well, I found that he's been in 2 movies, but that doesn't help.
Yes, that's same. So this search will have to continue. Any of you doing losses lists?
Me?
Yeah, are you?
Yeah, I think I have till Wednesday,
Yeah, that's what you think.
the
That's what you
27th.
think. If you say so.
I don't know what this is, so no.
Like certain influencers and like noted historians and like tastemakers throughout
Okay, not me.
the wrestling community got contacted about, just doing a little something for Lawson. I'm taking it very seriously.
Clearly.
It's going to bring, Tuesday, November 27th. Yeah. Well, that's confusing. Oh, no. Okay. He corrected himself. Wednesday, November 27th. I have a long time. I'll start it this weekend.
Good luck with that, man. Good luck with that.
It's going to bring all kinds of traffic to the site. So preemptively, you're welcome.
Yeah, go to wrestlingplaylist.substack.com for more.
You really should, outside of like the goofs that he's having guests on it, you really should already be subscribed to that if you're listening to this.
It is.
I disagree. We should be the only wrestling content that you little piggies, consume. Everyone else is our enemy.
I would argue we're more than enough for them. So
I
We
have
cover both
never.
wrestling and Saw.
I read every email I get from Lost. I've never seen Saul mentioned once.
Yeah.
what the fuck?
I'm just saying. I've read every issue. Never seen him even mention Saul. I don't think he's even mentioned
Yeah.
Thumbtack Jack.
You haven't been keeping up on the PWO forums GSE thread?
What is Oh, I'm so slow.
You got there.
I got there eventually.
All right. Well, I'm doing some investigative journalism currently.
Is it
I'll
about
report back.
Thumbtack Jack's letterbox?
No.
Okay,
It's about
good,
Lost's
good.
thoughts on Saw.
Oh, okay.
We'll report back.
All right. Yeah, I saw Joseph talking about his, and he's like worried about it being too long. And I was like, man, I'm worried about starting.
Ain't just the truth. Ain't that just who you are
Yeah.
deep down? Do you have any Saw thoughts for this week's episode?
This
All right,
hasn't
folks,
been
that's
Saw
like
Thoughts
episode
up to this
2
point?
of Saw Thoughts.
I
Was
just
it
want to
Dan?
know why.
I'm just saying, haven't we already been doing Saw Thoughts? We have more Saw Thoughts?
I just didn't know if we could wrap up this week's episode. That's all.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I just want to
I
know
look
why
forward
they
to watching them.
why can't they do 75 Saws a year? If they can do 75 GCW shows, they should be able to do 75 Saw movies.
I'm always asking that question.
You really are.
We're back on track for one Saw a year. And that's really what the people want. So,
Is 75 the number that came out that GCW has to do for
Yeah,
Fillers?
it's part of their
That's
trailer deal.
dumb? That's dumb that the deal exists. It's dumb that
Brett
trailers exist.
Lauderdale, good at reading contracts. That's what his link.
I mean,
says.
when you think about it, AEW has to do what, like 104 shows a year between Dynamite and Collision.
That's true.
It's just kind of
Even more with Rampage.
yeah. So I mean, it's
Pretty much the same thing.
It's
when you
the
think about it.
same amount of wrestling, but it's just it's GCW.
Yeah. I mean, only one promotion has Effie. So when you really think about it, who's got worse?
Effie's so fucking
That's true.
pissed that AEW's doing Hammerstein.
I
He's
haven't
so
seen
mad.
anything.
He's so mad.
It on his podcast or TikTok or whatever the fuck he's going off about how AEW is like stepping on GCW's toes or something.
As if they're counter programming them. As if
I
this was
know.
like, as if they thought about GCW even a little bit.
I'm sure Tony has talked to Brett approximately one time, and Brett has assumed they're deep, close personal friends.
I mean,
And
we
they're
know
ma-
that AEW is working against GCW because they keep signing off on letting GCW use Danhausen. So they clearly want GCW to fail.
Secret agent.
It's like when Cody Rhodes went to the Indies in 2016. He was the sleeper agent for WWE.
There we go.
True.
Here we go.
Danhausen was on All Star Wrestling's show this last weekend. It's like a company out of West Virginia that draws like crazy well. Unless Danhausen's your big draw. It was the worst house I've ever seen them draw in years. I mean,
That's beautiful.
they have hundreds. Like they always fill the bleachers. They always, post big wide shots of their crowd. This one, it was like close up images of they did a war game, so it's like close up images of the two rings. No wide shots at all.
Danhausen was in War Games?
I don't know. He wasn't in that match, I don't think.
Mm.
I don't know. I thought about going at one point. My family ended up doing Thanksgiving this last weekend, but I missed out on Danhausen.
Not a real fan. Not a real fan of professional wrestling. How sad. How disappointing. All right, folks. Time to talk about what we've been watching. Dan, what have you been watching?
I have been watching. You get really mad when I do this. You hate when I bring out like these really hot takes, these like bold statements that like get pinned to the whole site, not just me, but
Yeah,
Nick
Bret Hart good.
Bockwinkel, a very good wrestler. I'm sticking to it.
Can you stop with the?
It's not a meme. I really believe it. I really believe it.
A lot of people keep accusing us of just propping up meme wrestling, like George Hackenschmidt and Nick Bockwinkel.
I don't
am
know
so pissed
why.
off right now.
I have it just YouTube is like, hey, you either want to watch like people playing poker,
Damn, what the fuck are you doing?
ASMR videos, because like my YouTube premium is just used by like 78 people in my family. And then it's like, oh, but you also want to watch Nick Bockwinkel versus Mad Dog Vachon, and that was like from 1983, Christmas Day. I was like, hell yeah, I do.
Yeah, I want to watch that
And
too.
It fucking rules. And I said it, I think on Twitter or Blue Skies, who can keep track, where I was just like, every movement Nick Bockwinkel makes is like perfect and deliberate and puts him in the right place, or his selling looks great. It's just, so I watched that. I watched him and Vern Gagne from 1979 and him versus Hogan. And yeah, I just, very good. Outside of that, that wasn't really, I mean, I know that Sam's like on a pure 1980s watch. Outside of that, what I mostly have been trying to watch is 2010s for the BP 2010s. I don't want to jump ahead and plug my article, but I was watching stuff for that. So I watched a lot of 2010s Ring of Honor. And if you just watch the stuff that looks like it'll be good, so far it's good. Like if it has Steve Corino or Generico or the Briscoes, it rocks. Because that's like 2010's kind of like when I started to leave Ring of Honor, so a lot of that stuff I don't remember or I didn't watch at all. And yeah, both Briscoes are going to be so high up on my VP 2010s list. I just have yet to see them have an off night. Even when Mark's like working like random four ways and stuff, he fucking rules. He's killing himself on like the second match of the card in the random four way that means nothing.
To you.
To me, not to Mark. But yeah, literally outside of that, I watched Nick Bockwinkel and I watched Ring of Honor, and then every other match I watched is stuff listed in my article. Like I rewatched Trauma versus Canis Lupus. I watched Josh Barnett versus Timothy Thatcher. And it's just like, this is going to come. I don't want to take a shot at Juggalo Championship Wrestling, but it's like, man, I should start watching good wrestling again. Fucking rules.
Well, we don't even know when. You've got time. We don't know when Lunacy's coming back for season 2.
I mean, once Lunacy comes back, I'm just gonna get rid of all this good wrestling. For now, that's what I've been watching this week.
Good for
But
you,
yeah,
Dan. Good for
yeah.
you. You know,
I've turned a new leaf.
Thankfully, you had hot takes to bring to the show that we could really use to generate buzz, as it were. Pat, what have you been watching?
I watched the NGI 9. Speaking of great wrestling.
Boo.
Yeah, no, it was. My review is this: Rina Yamashita versus Takayuki Ueki. Good match. The rest of the show you can safely skip. The most entertaining thing to come out of the show was Drake Younger attacking John Wayne Murdoch backstage. Which I meant to ask Dan, do you have any like Facebook friend insights? We saw that your close personal friend Dylan Summers took Drake's side.
I can tell you a few people that are on Drake's side. You have Necro Butcher. He's saying Drake did what needed to be done.
He also accused Murdoch of like blackballing him off of shows.
Now, he wouldn't say John Wayne Murdoch when I talked to him, but he said there's a guy who's on all the deathmatch shows that I'm not on, who's afraid to work a show that I work.
And Murdoch said on Twitter that he just, has just been refusing to face Necro Butcher in a match, and it's been driving Necro crazy.
Masada posted on Instagram, I believe, a picture of Drake Younger's face on a KFC bucket that says TPB, 2-piece and a biscuit, which is what Drake said he gave John Wayne Murdoch. And Mickey Knuckles has come out as pro Drake Younger. That is my
We're
update.
gonna see. This is the turning into the XPW versus Pacific North Death war, promotional war. Who have we? Joey Janela is obviously on the side of Murdoch. Has anyone come out that you've seen as pro Duke?
I
I think
Drew
we can take it as
Parker.
given that
I think Drew Parker came out on the.
Well, yeah, but we know Drew Parker came out, but what about the Murdoch?
No,
Younger?
the only two I remember seeing are Joey Janela and Drew Parker defending.
I think we can assume that Reed Bentley is probably on Murdoch's side.
But yeah,
yeah,
I wish this
is
was a work shoot, but I think it's just mostly really sad.
this is the most interesting thing to come out of the NGI 9. Sawyer Wreck won the big one, and I think for the first time ever they gave her a microphone. And
Okay, that was my question. You're a GCW guy. Is she a pushed act before this retirement?
not really. I mean, she's more like a cult favorite because she's not very good at like the wrestling part of wrestling.
I know she can't take or give chair shots, and that really annoys me.
Right, but what she can do is she will, get thrown around through doors and light tubes and all that shit, and she will have that huge, like, big, wide open mouth smile the entire time. And she also just has, she'll come to the ring wearing a shirt saying like "Dead men don't rape" and stuff like that. And so she's got a following, but she's never been a top tier, Effie level act. But she's been in the mix as part of like the general Effie, Alley Catch, Dark Sheik, Manders, kind of babyface conglomerate.
Because
And
the last time
I mean,
I jumped in, it seemed like Brandon Kirk was going to get a big push, and they just put Sawyer over him and took the belt and vacated it, as far as I know.
yeah, no, she said in her show-ending speech that they were going to do some kind of ladder match for the ultraviolet title at the Hammerstein show.
Okay, let's get AJ Gray on that.
Yeah. And Kirk at the end of the show, after Atticus Cogar ran in and attacked Sawyer, and Brandon Kirk ran back in and chased Cogar off. So I think Kirk is still getting pushed. It's just that they had to give Sawyer her gold Rolex while they could. But Kirk, I think he was probably the highlight of the tournament overall. Just even though the matches weren't great, he seems to be the overall like. I'm trying to figure out how to put it. Like, he can do comedy, but he's not a comedy guy. He can do the deathmatch stuff. He has likability. He has charisma. He has a crazy finishing move that he can do on top of stacks of chairs. He's probably the guy that they should be building all of this around. And I think we're nearing our 20 minutes of GCW talk timer. So let's kick it over. Chris, you watch anything?
Yeah. That's my segment.
All right. Cool.
No, I did not watch. I did not watch anything. It's been a very odd week, Chris. So, like in my normal life, my boss quit last week. And today I was maybe going to watch some wrestling, but the past couple of days my neck has been killing me to the point where like last couple of nights I basically could not sleep. So I went to urgent care and got a shot of what they give those NFL players. And that helped me like take a nap for a couple hours. So I did that. Watch things. I'm feeling a little better.
You should have done it pro wrestler style. Just wash down like a handful of somas with some beers.
True. But yeah, also like concert one night and stuff. I saw seen in like since before the pandemic. I'll be watching some wrestling on my days off the next couple of days. So don't worry for you all. But none this week. I am a blank slate. I was not to bring it back much to GC. The non-tournament three-way. Because I did see the GIF where Mr. Danger does a flip and lands like face first.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that looked cool as hell.
Yeah, Mr. Danger is like my favorite of the random local undercard guys, GCW. It should shock no one. He's an AR Fox trainee.
Yeah. Is my mic fucked up?
A little bit.
Yes.
Sam, what about you? You watch any wrestling?
Me? Yes. I lasted exclusively on 1980s, as in the year 1980, wrestling for a day. And that went well. That went well. Got to watch a great match like Jeff Kay versus John Cortez from February 5th, 1980. A very sporting contest from Joint Promotions. Also watched Robert Gibson versus Jimmy Valiant from February 9th, 1980. Jimmy Valiant, one of the greatest all time? Question mark? Think about it. Think about it. Then I watched some AEW. Unfortunately, I have broken the streak. I will not watch anything that's like super well regarded. That's a different ball game entirely. But I will watch Leo Rush versus Commander 2. I think it's their second match, without seeing the first one. They happened the week before. Leo Rush should have been the great junior of his generation. And life screwed it up. Screwed it all up. Black art out here with the wrong brain. Not living up to his potential. But that is a really fun match. Recommend folks check it out. Also watching good stuff like Virus in quite a few CML wrestlers in a Illinois park, maybe a fair from September, where it was Infernal, Virus, Cancerbero versus King Rey Mysterio, Super Astro Jr., and Volano Third Jr. Not in Galley, but in Gill, Gill. And that match is fun. I don't know if I would say, hey, you got to watch that. Do it today. But it was fun seeing a match like this in that setting with a bunch of kids absolutely losing their shit in the front row, around the ring. Just a good time had by all. And then the best match I watched this week was Santanico versus Virus from July 23rd of this year. One of the best matches of the year. It is like a top-end Maestro matches with some unexpected fits of violence in there. There are parts in this match that border on elder abuse. It's beautiful. Highly recommend. Go check it out. The July 23rd channel. July 23rd show is on CMLL's YouTube channel, so there's very little stopping you from doing so. That's it. That's kind of what I watched this week.
Top 10 of the year. Did you say that somewhere?
Top 10 of the year. Top 10 of the year. Now, have I watched enough matches where I would say that's got to be where it finishes? No. But as of now, it's 3 or 4. 3 or 4.
Whoa. They're very high on it.
Very high on it. Very high on it. Love it. Go out of your way for it. Furious. Sneaky top 10 wrestler of the year. Sneaky top 10 wrestler of the year.
Vera's a pretty good wrestler.
I don't think I can get there, but I'm not mad about it.
Who we got above him? Who we got above him? Listen,
I told you, I got 4 guys way above him.
Way above him?
Above him. Comfortably above him.
Yeah, you're already taking some steps back. Just take it right back into reverse and say, whoop, he's up there.
I guess I can't. I guess he's number 5. You win.
There we go, guys. Heard it here first. Dan, a coward, but also correct.
Listen, we're in the final 4 minutes. Cavs are down by 8. I can't fight you on it. He's number 5.
I'm working out who the top 8 on Sam's ballot are. So we know Juicy Finau is in there. We know Virus is in there. We know Bobby Flacco's in there. So that's 5 mystery spots left to figure out for the end of the year.
Yeah, when you say this is your 3rd best match of the year, is this like 3rd out of like what, 20?
3rd out of like 100.
Oh, shit. All right.
I've done a terrible job this year. It's not 100. It's more than that. I have now done a note system where I have a Notion note thing that I pretty much try to write notes on every match I watch, just so I can reference, hey, I did watch this. Don't watch that again, Sam, you freaking idiot. Because I don't remember 2.5-star matches. They don't exist in my brain. Those matches don't deserve to be remembered. But in 3 months, when I go back through shit, if it's not good, I don't usually mark it anywhere. I'm saving myself time for the future, which has made me kind of realize all the wrestling I'm watching these days. I have no idea how many matches I've watched, but out of all of them, it's one of them. That's good.
It's more or less than 100, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, give or take 100.
I am terrified to do the final math on how many GCW matches I've watched this year.
I think it's very cool that you did this.
Well, I think it's very cool because when we do our year-end, award show, you won't need to mention any of those matches whatsoever.
I know it's like, I'm. What am I doing with my life?
He'll have to mention one match, and that's Juice and Finau versus Bobby Flacco. Because we're going to be talking about Hoot of the Year, and we're talking about that match for damn sure.
My favorite part of Hoot of the Year is the 25 minutes beforehand when we all yell at each other about what a hoot is.
It's great. Luckily,
the
I have
highlight
done
of my year.
The definitive piece on what a hoot is.
Oh, that's true. People can check it out.
Yeah, people can check that out. It's
now, where are you writing these pieces at?
Violentpeople.co. Violentpeople.co. It's a good professional wrestling website.
And we've made some big changes to the front page this week.
Massive.
Big design changes, so it should be much more easily. You should be able to see what the actually new articles are.
Well, you always could. You always
could click over the recent. We temporarily got rid of our popular tab. I hope to have it return soon.
There's also just below that box that had popular tab and recent posts is something that does say recent posts.
Yes.
So that's always been there.
It should not be an opt-in thing.
It's not. It's right there. It's
always been there. But it would show popular first, and the way it tabulated popularity is What
Just-
post
I don't know if you folks have the tiniest
has the
screens
most
imaginable.
what posts are ever going to get more comments?
When you go to our website, Dan,
Yeah.
right below recent posts, what does it say? Like right below those two boxes.
I'm not. I mean, on a desktop.
Are you guys looking on your phones? Are you guys looking at our
I'm looking at my
website
desktop.
on
It
a
says recent
fucking-
posts, and it lists the 5 most recent posts. I don't know what we're yelling about.
Perfect. Exactly. The recent posts have always been there.
Yeah,
You
but
can
if you
always see
think
it.
that
It's
same
not
box,
opt-in.
you could click popular or recent, and sometimes I think it would open on popular. Am I wrong about this?
There
It
was
would always
no
be popular.
there was no popular for this section of the website.
Oh, lower down. I get what you're saying. The top of
Yeah.
the website had recent and popular. You scroll down below the top 3 little squares. I get what you're
Yeah.
saying. I agree.
I'm just saying, it's always been, it's just a kind of a duplicated information we got going here on valuepeople.co.
I think since we've last come together, correct me if I'm wrong, we've had like 5 things go up.
Yeah, this was
Maybe-
supposed to be a segue
maybe
into
6?
talking about the new stuff on
5
the
things.
site.
Yeah. But instead
We
we're
kind
just
of
yelling
derailed
about
ourselves.
popular.
Popular. That's a Wicked reference, and that's going to help the SEO of this episode. But yes, all of us have. Well, Pat wrote something before this last episode.
Yeah, I had, my week got away from me. I did not write anything this week. Sorry, guys.
Forgive you.
Yes, all of us, everyone else, is always writing a ton for the website, never missing a week, and always writing what we'll say we'll write. That's just the Violent People way, as it were. Pat, the previous week, already mentioned it last week, analyzing Sanshiro Takagi's VP 2010s case. This week, we had Chris write about Black Terry's VP 2010s case. From the 18th, we had Ali talk about Sakura Hirota and Jun Kasai's match from 2022. And then Dan on the 19th wrote about some names you should know for the VP 2010s. And it does include some wonderful graphic design on his part.
Thank you.
And the good
And-
people listening to this, if they haven't submitted already, they have till when to submit their VP 2010s ballots?
December 1st. It's right around the corner, folks.
Did you mention that you had something on the site as well? I might have missed that.
Oh, I didn't sticky mine, so it didn't show up on the top of the website. Yes, I wrote something for your VP 2010s consideration where I talked about Dean Allmark, Anthony Henry, and Guerrero Maya Jr. All 3 wrestlers who you should vote for the VP 2010s. Once again, ballots due December 1st. Anything else new on the website or with the website?
There's the Ollie piece about Jun Kasai versus Sakura Hirota,
Yes,
You
definitely
definitely
mentioned
mentioned
that.
and an appreciation of their no death.
Should
Good
we
for them.
mention that next week we will not have a Violent People Radio?
Next week, we will not have a Violent People Radio for American Thanksgiving. We'll be taking the week off. We will be back the following week with a new schedule. We will be recording on Wednesday, so we will be posting our episodes on Thursday from henceforth. I'm not assuming that's going to create too many issues with anyone that's listening to our show, but that is kind of the news, as it were, for
That was actually
Okay.
Corwo demanded that, or he would stop doing the weekly roundups.
which we
That's
could
true.
not have. So there we go. That's it. That's what's going on. We really zoomed through things here, it feels like. Or am I just imagining that? How long have we been recording here?
43 minutes. I think that's too fast.
I don't think it's too fast.
Well,
Anyway,
we did
it's
20
time.
minutes of Saw, 10 minutes of what we've been watching, 13 minutes of the site.
And now it's time for the big top. There we go. On this week's episode, we are going to be discussing some of our favorite matches from the 2010s to kind of keep moving and grooving with the VP 2010s, which is not a match list whatsoever, but it's all of a piece. So here we go. Did we all come with some matches to talk about today that
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't need necessarily to be your best, but favorites?
I did.
Oh, yeah.
So let's start with Chris since he didn't say anything. Chris, you got some matches?
Oh yeah.
What we cooking? What we cooking?
Let's start out the gate with
Dragon Gate.
no, close the
got-
gate.
Oh,
I brought my
I thought-
10 favorite Dragon Gate matches from the 2010s.
No. I will not allow it.
So I hope I'm not the only one who just wrote down all 4 Omega Okada matches.
Well, they're kind of boom goes the dynamite there. No, let's talk about Blue Demon Jr. versus Dr. Wagner Jr. at Triple Mania. One of the sickest
I mean,
matches ever.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that is unironically my match of the decade.
the decade.
The entire 2010s, that is my favorite match of the entire decade.
You're cooking with that one. You're cooking with that one.
I mean,
I know what I like.
yeah, I would have to look at the data. I would have to
Crunch
I would
some
have to
numbers.
put it all up there, but it's got to be close. Just absolutely brutal. A Puestas match. The exact kind of spectacle you want from a Triple Mania main event. Just that entire lead up to the feud is incredible. Blue Demon Jr. just decades into his career becoming an incredibly sick wrestler. Basically out of nowhere. Just out of sheer hatred for Dr. Wagner Jr.
And Dr. Wagner Jr. growing a gigantic ratty ponytail out of nowhere overnight. An incredible feat for any wrestler.
Yeah, I can't do that.
I've been trying, man.
But that's a special damn match. You
That-
got some
I want to. Yeah.
some real gushers. You got some great interference spots. You've got fucking bricks,
Hammer.
hammer.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like this is a match where like the heat segment of it is one man beating another with a claw hammer.
In the back of the head.
Like not even like Nick Gage and Matt Tremont.
It's like if you don't like this match, like what is wrong with you? Why, like, what are you here for? What are you doing? What is appealing about wrestling to you if it is not Blue Demon Jr. versus Dr. Wagner Jr.?
Now, did you guys ever hear the rumor that this was supposed to be like AAA had some kind of deal where it was like we're going to give Demon a win and we're going to give Park a win and then we're going to put like Demon versus Park as a mask match?
No, never heard of that.
I vaguely remember hearing that rumor around the time and being like, yeah, that's never going to happen. And then it
Yeah,
never
say if
happened.
CMLL believe that, or AAA believe that, they're nuts.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Dan, give us a match.
I briefly mentioned it earlier, only because I wanted to make sure I mentioned it again here, because we're talking about that's Pat's match of the decade. My match of the decade is Trauma 1 versus Canis Lupus, mask match. It is disgusting and beautiful, and it follows the mask match template, but like it elevates it to an even higher level. And there's bloody spots. There's the tombstone pile driver towards the end that leads to Trauma having a freaking neck brace on. I've watched it. It's not a short match, and I've watched it so many times. At the end, after getting unmasked, Canis Lupus proposes to his girlfriend. It just has all the spectacle and blood that you want from this kind of match, and yeah, it's my match of the decade. I don't have to think about it.
2 lucha matches discussed for some of our favorite matches of the 2010s. No lucha wrestlers in the Violent People Hall of Fame. Huh. Food for thought. One of the great matches of the decade. It's not my match of the decade, but it's one of the greats. Feels like we don't talk about the Traumas that much anymore. Not nearly as much as we did.
I think there's reasons why, but
for obvious reasons.
Yeah, but I think it is impressive when you think about like how long that was 8 years ago, and they had already had a long career on the Lucha Indies, and I can see people thinking that their act is stale. I mean, they do hit a lot of their spots in every match, but I mean, Chris would knows better than me. He's the one watching literally every Lucha match ever, but I mean, they're the highlight of most of the shows they're on. But yeah, that's the first one I wanted to mention for sure.
All right, Pat, what are your thoughts more on the matches? I know Dan called it out as your match of the decade. Is that factual?
No. He said Blue Demon Wagner was his match of the decade. Yeah. So I said, I'm moving this to the front of the line. I want to mention that this is my match of the decade.
Fair enough.
Just calling him out. Like, I got a Lucha Mask match that I like a little better than that. And I will call it out. It's because of the weird spot with the Blue Demon's son. I mean, it's like I'm splitting hairs. They're both great.
We should put Blue Demon's son in scare quotes. I still have no idea if he has actual wrestling children, because they seem to appear and disappear.
Live update: the Cavs lose by 3. It's sad, but I'll take it.
Also, February 2025, 4-way masked cage match with Trauma Primera, Trauma Segunda, Io de Ella Park, and Impossible. So, guess who's losing that one?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Pat.
So, in the Discord today, you guys were talking about the promotion of the decade and whether it was Evolve or whether it was AIW or whether it was miscellaneous.
People were pretty split on it, I think.
Yeah, and I was shocked that no one mentioned the real promotion of the decade, Lucha Underground. I would like to present for consideration of the group a match that is definitely heavily edited, but nonetheless became a 5-star match for me. And that is Sexy Star versus Mariposa in a No Mas match from the January 9th Lucha Underground taping, aired May 4th.
So what percentage of this is a bit?
No, I genuinely think this match fucking.
Okay, but Lucha Underground promotion of the decade.
I think Lucha Underground. I don't actually think it's a promotion. I think it's probably the second promotion, like number 2.
The second?
We'll get to my number 1 later.
Okay, I'm glad. I was
But in
worried I was
terms
out.
of their lasting influence on wrestling fandom and the discourse and presentation and all that, I think Lucha Underground did a lot more than they're ever going to credit.
I gotta put my cards on the table. I know for a fact I've seen every episode of Lucha Underground. I don't even remember this match.
The fuck is wrong with you?
I'm just like I have zero memories of this match ever happening.
was
I
an
believe you.
It was
I
cheerleader
love that.
Melissa as Mariposa versus Sexy Star as Sexy Star. And they just did an I Quit match, but instead of I Quit, it was No Mas.
I like how you broke that down for Dan.
Because
that was going to help him click.
The part that was awesome was I think it was an ankle lock. Cheerleader Melissa had Sexy Star, and I think it was an ankle lock. And she's screaming at her to quit. And not live, but on the El Rey network, they just kept in Sexy Star going, "Fuck you, Mariposa." And in terms of like, Sexy Star is a shitty wrestler. She's fun to watch, but she's a shitty wrestler. Cheerleader Melissa is like, her peak is okay. And I think, the strategic editing and the presentation of Lucha Underground took this match and elevated it into like a very, very fun spectacle that I would put up there with some of the most fun watching of the decade. And I think, honestly, as evidenced by Dan, it's a forgotten classic.
I will watch this before next week.
And you'll see how right I am.
I did not expect someone that can match that, gun to my head, couldn't tell you a single thing about.
Dan was not expecting a women's wrestling match to make
that too
onto this show.
Cheerleader Melissa is one of the good ones. In that she wrestled in the early 2000s.
Okay.
That's all you need to do.
That's okay. That's what you mean. That is specifically what you mean when you said that. I'm thankful we discussed this.
Oh.
Anyway,
I'm just gonna. Good night, y'all.
So I'm not going to discuss my match of the decade. I am going to discuss someone in consideration for my wrestler of the decade. And that is a match from February of 2016 taking place in Beyond Wrestling. Sami Callihan versus Donovan Dijak. And no, I'm not talking about Donnie D. Sami Callihan essentially has 2 great career arcs in the decade. First as like King of the Indies, and then the King of the Indies returns from 16 to 17. I think this match is marvelous. I think this is kind of Dijak in a more controlled environment where he is Mr. Beyond, and Sami having to find his way in this match as far as battling this giant of a man and picking out the weakness that's going to lead him to victory. This match is great. I recommend it. Everyone watch it. It's my number 2 match of 2016 behind Travel One versus Conus Lupus. So that's surprise. I picked a Sami Callihan match for my first.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
I know.
I'm gonna go ahead and insert in. I have a special guest telling us a match of the 2010s. The best match of the 2010s, according to Tim of Q&TR, is Timothy Thatcher versus Biff Busick from Beyond in April 13th, 2014. Thought that fit in nicely with your match. But if you will believe it, he contacted me to make sure that we weren't covering any Joshi wrestling.
Oh man, you're not gonna like my other 3 picks.
I'm guessing he meant current. Anyway.
You're really not gonna like my other 3 picks. All of my top matches of the 2010s are 2024, unfortunately.
Pat, do you want to shoot another one at us?
Oh, sure. You know what? I was reading something by Elio Del Simon. He has the Handwork Reviews blog, which if you have to read a wrestling site other than Violent People, you should read Elio Del Simon's Handwork Reviews. They're always very well done. And just by chance, I happened to be reading about a match that I knew I had to put on my list for this. And that is Ella Park and the Lucha Brothers versus Roosh and Los Briscoes from CMLL in August 2018. Absolutely crazy brawl. Park and Roosh are doing kind of the CMLL version of their feud, but even that is like, catching lightning in a bottle. And Elio Del Simon said something that stuck with me, which is that this was the Briscoes' CMLL debut. This was their first time ever in Arena Mexico, and they immediately they fit right in. They knew exactly what they needed to do. They could perfectly gel with the Roosh and Park style brawl. It was the Lucha Brothers who were kind of the odd man out in this. Fantastic, crazy brawl. If you need kind of a digest of, some of the top workers of the 2010s, all trying to cram their greatest hits into one 20 to 30-minute match, you could do a lot worse than this. He also pointed out in the review the part where they do the Los Ingobernables, imaginary soccer ball spot, but with Roosh pretending to pull off Ella Park's head and then kicking it around with the Briscoes.
That rules.
It's fantastic stuff. So who's next? Who's got another match from the 2010s?
2010s. I'll go. I got another one.
Yes.
This is kind of an obvious one, but and it's kind of been covered to death even on this show, but I just wanted to say I've rewatched it. And I have the fucking rules. And if Black Terry is not only if he's not on your list, it just don't turn it in. I don't know if I have access to the list. You should hope I don't, but I will delete any list that doesn't have him.
I have access. I'll delete it.
There's not 100 wrestlers better than this man. I don't know if there's 100 people better at anything than this man, but definitely not wrestling. It's like I said, I think you were mentioning that. I was like, oh, I have that. Like, I know that match like the back of my hand, and like I do know it well. I have watched it a lot, and it made me uncomfortable at times. Like it like a guy who I just talked about. Like I love I love the Wagner Demon match where there's a hammer and a cinder block, and Candice Lupus Trauma is a bloody mess. But it's like something about Black Terry matches that have like a grit and a realness to them that like sometimes it's like this is almost a little too much. Like I almost have to like take a breath because I'm watching real violence. And I know it's been talked about, but it's just I didn't mention what I've been watching, but I went and watched a bunch of Black Terry because of Chris's article. And normally I'm like, hey, you like wrestling you like, I like the wrestling I like, whatever. But like, I just don't understand a list that doesn't have Black Terry. I just don't know what you're looking for in wrestling. What about you, Chris? You got another match?
Yeah, it's a match I've kind of waxed poetic about before on this very podcast, but it is Keita in the House versus 326 from November 30th, 2014. Wallaby Pro. And it's just two guys grappling in wherever the hell they're grappling in front of a few people. And it's like exactly what I want in just like the sleaziest of, when you talk about Japanese sleaze indies, this is Japanese sleaze. And it's beautiful and it's pure and it's Keita and he's in the house and he's wrestling a karate man for 15 minutes and it's pure and it's beautiful and it's Wallaby Pro.
Awesome.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Wallaby Pro?
I'm more familiar with that match than I am whatever Lucha Underground match I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
This is
All
a
right.
sad state of affairs.
So it's time to move on to what is my match of the decade. I don't know that for certain. I feel like it's in the running of one of a handful of matches for match of the decade. From 2017, it is Hideki Suzuki versus Yuji Okabayashi. One of the all-time great matches, in my opinion. And this match I do not think got its due. It will never get its due. I feel like a one-man army on this match. But it is phenomenal. It is what I look for from professional wrestling as a battle of contrasting styles and ideologies and how they play off at one another in these simulated fights without it being shoot style. And that is usually where I get that kind of scratch the itch more often as far as like, how do these styles play out? But to see it be far more pro wrestling with these two. Incredible. I think Okabayashi is one of the elite meatheads that ever were when it comes to pro wrestling. He understands how to be a bull more than maybe any other wrestler ever. I think Hideki Suzuki is kind of the heir apparent to like your Billy Robinsons. I think him and Thatcher are obviously linked at the hip as far as stylistically, ideologically. I think Thatcher is a far more giving wrestler in a lot of ways. He plays ball in a way that I think Suzuki never has and never will.
In that Thatcher will lose a singles match.
Thatcher will lose a singles match / will look like he's trying in the match that he loses. Where you can very clearly tell when Hideki Suzuki's gonna lose in most matches. He ain't gonna be all there. He's not gonna really give a shit. But he's completely on.
Best.
That's he knows when to turn it on. And when to turn it on is when he's gonna go over.
It's called being a worker.
You want people to remember a match you lose? Doesn't make any sense.
So yeah,
I have a question for you. Where do you see Okabayashi? Like, I don't like you don't have to tell me exactly, but where on your list do you think he is?
Top 25.
Top 25. Where is that in relation to his tag team partner, Sakamoto?
Top 75.
Oh wow, you got a pretty big gap between them. All right.
Oh yeah. I think Sakamoto is a great pro wrestler. He is not an elite pro wrestler. So that's why
I get what you're saying. I have them ranked in the same order, but I don't have the distance between them that you do currently.
Increase that gap, man. As long as it means Yuji's going up, I'm all for it. All right, who is up next? Who's doing stuff? Let's give this some real deep cuts here.
I don't know if it's deep cut, but I'll go ahead and mention it. I'm kind of mentioning 3 matches or like a shit ton of matches. I'm going to mention just Trevor Lee. But Trevor Lee in CWF Mid-Atlantic, his matches with Kane, and something that I was a high voter on at the time, the 6-way elimination he had before the last Kane Justice match. The match it was Trevor Lee versus Eric Royal versus Brad Attitude versus Kane Justice versus Cool J versus Roy Wilkins. And I'm overlooking something, but I can't think of anything in the last 5 years that has had a stronger through line and story that I just wanted to follow than Trevor Lee as champion, like from an indie wrestling company. I know I was glued to my seat every week, and he's got me watching multiple 70+ minute matches and caring about wrestlers I wouldn't normally care about. I mean, I don't know what the fuck Cool J or Bad Attitude are up to in 2024, but in 2019 I knew what they were doing. And Trevor Lee went to WWE and he didn't do much, and now he has a really bad haircut. So I think sometimes he's maybe gets a little overlooked, where he has the cool spotty stuff, and then he has like his performance in that 6-way elimination match where he is, dominant world champion.
Well, it's funny you should mention Trevor Lee, because that plays into what I think was genuinely the #1 promotion of the decade in terms of its overall lasting influence on every aspect of wrestling. And this isn't a Trevor Lee match, but I'm pretty sure he was in this tournament. We're going to PWG for the Battle of Los Angeles 2015. And the match that I need everyone to think very fucking hard about is Chris Hero versus Jack Evans in a second round match.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys remember this match? Am I pissing into the wind again here?
You're always pissing the wind for me.
Here's the thing, not a second round match. That's a semifinal.
Was it a semifinal? Sorry.
Yeah. I hate to call you
I
out.
thought it was a second round match. But yes, so that was on night 3 of Bola, where the show was already like 17 hours long. And Jack Evans managed to turn the crowd against him by, these people are in like a shitty, Foreign Legion, American Legion, whatever the fuck it was, the Reseda venue. They've been in there for hours, and Jack Evans, before the match starts, does a rambling, overlong promo about how he's The Rock's favorite wrestler, based on a best friend's shoot interview that would not be released for like months after the show. So there was no way that anyone in the room could have any idea what he was talking about. He then posits that not only can Chris Hero not keep him down for a 2 count, he can't keep him down for a 3 count, he can't even keep him down for a 2 count, and kicks out at 1 for the entire match. And in terms of 2 forces that I like to think of representing a lot of the stuff I love about the 2010s, one of them is personified in Jack Evans, and another one is personified in specifically Fat Chris Hero. And this is a great Fat Chris Hero bully match. So
I thought you had mentioned another one I didn't remember, and then you said the 1 count stuff, and I'm like, no, I do remember that.
Yeah, it's such a good match.
This is surprising. You pulled this tournament outside of Marty Scurll. No one else has been canceled from this
yet.
Well, yeah, give it time. I mean, I'm
They're
also
not
behind the times.
PWG.
Yeah.
Always making sure not to get the canceled wrestlers. That's what they're known for.
True.
Never had one been canceled. Besides Marty Scurll.
And all these, I mean, to be fair, all these British guys are the same to me. Like, I don't know if fucking Mark Andrews has been canceled, but doesn't stick out in my head.
This is not a match I can recommend wholeheartedly, because this is 2014 Sam just throwing shit on a spreadsheet. And I have no recollection of this match, and I did not write any words on this match, which is why I've got a whole note system now. But apparently, you should go watch Jimmy Jacobs versus Matt Cage from AAW in 2014. Specifically the September 12th show. Apparently, that match rips. So you're welcome.
Did you write?
In advance.
Did you give it a star rating or
4.25?
4.25.
Forna? Forna Quarta?
4.25. Now, I was reading some wild stuff from 2010 to 2014. Things seem to be swinging the correct direction in 2014. We have one of the great trios match of the decade: Casas, Caminardo, and Dragon Lee versus Virus, Cacharo, and Hechicero from May. The great trios match of the decade, in my opinion.
It's linked in my article.
Give it a watch. Give it a watch. There's things are doing better. Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy versus the Briscoes from Omega from April 2014. That match is great. I do recall that. That's a very showy match. It happens in a gymnasium. People are losing their shit. It feels like what is right about professional wrestling. Laying to the rafters. I'm just listing stuff now. Anyone else want to kind of hop in here? Anyone else have anything that is genuinely good?
You don't think that Matt Cage versus Jimmy Jacobs is genuinely good?
Who knows? I don't trust myself.
Impossible to tell.
It is literally impossible to tell.
Yeah, all right.
So I have a question for you guys.
Sure.
How do you feel about pile drivers into a toilet?
Great.
I feel very strongly in the positive towards that. Is there some kind of match that features that?
I'm glad you asked because there is a stipulation. The full stipulation name is the full use from east to west over the entire hall, anywhere fall weapon treasure hunt 3-way tag match between Michael Nakazawa and Kenzo Suzuki versus Sanshiro Takagi and Jun Kasai versus Goda Ihashi and Kota Ibushi. And this is at DDT Judgment 2016. And included in this match is Kota Ibushi and Michael Nakazawa fighting into the bathroom, and Nakazawa receiving a Gotch-style pile driver into the toilet, among many other indignities he suffered.
That's beautiful.
And this is a match where the spectacle of it is such that I genuinely would put it in my top 5 of the decade. It's just such an Ibushi-brained match. I'm someone who thinks it was a letdown when he went to New Japan and started, basically being serious. This is the sort of stuff where I watch Kota Ibushi and I think, like, this guy is one of the best to ever do it. This is the stuff that makes me think that, not him in the G1 Climax. Fuck. They do a falls count anywhere around Sumo Hall. Kota Ibushi at one point does a moonsault off of the entrance to Sumo Hall, which got DDT banned from the venue for a while. And just a great, crazy match.
While we're on the subject of unique gimmicks and also toilets, I think we should give a special shout out to another match that Dan mentioned in his article. Should talk about the yard call, baby.
Hell yeah.
Corey Hollis, Slim J in a yard call match.
I gotta be honest, I'm very disappointed in the people that have read my article so far because I was looking and you can see like which links have been clicked. People are just reading about this shit. They're not watching it. Don't take my word for it. The only link I gave you for Slim J is Yard Call. Go watch it.
Yeah, if you've never seen Yard Call, there is literally nothing like the Yard Call. I don't believe there's ever been another yard call match. Watch the yard call match. Dan, how would you explain the yard call? How do you explain the yard call?
I've never been to prison, but I know for a fact this match is 100% accurate. And I don't even want to tell people, like, it's just an experience. Like, that's how I watched it, is that I heard people say yard call like 78 times. I was like, okay, Jesus Christ. And then I watched it and I was like, fucking yard call.
Yard call, say it back.
Yeah. No, people should definitely watch that. Linked in the article. The only link I had for Slim J. Also, this is, AIW racer. You can't find any Colin Delaney links to save your life. We were talking about toilets, though. I actually, before you said it was in my article, I thought you were going somewhere else. And I thought you were talking about Nick Gage versus Joe Gacy.
I also thought you were talking about Nick Gage versus Joe Gacy.
Which people should also fucking watch. Another toilet-based match.
What event was that? Was that a state fair, or was that Warped Tour, or was that something else entirely?
I want to say it was it might have been a Warped Tour, but I want to say it was like a concert venue. Like, I remember like lots of tents and stuff, but I could not tell you the exact venue.
Music was definitely happening at this event. Also,
Jake
there was a
Roberts
mini
walking
roller coaster, I believe.
Oh, mini roller coaster. That's cool.
I don't know if mini roller coasters are all that cool, Dan. Not all that cool.
I mean, it's cool to see in a wrestling match. You don't see them a lot. I saw last time at the state fair, which was, or actually, no, not state fair, county fair. This last summer, a little kid had to get taken off of the mini roller coaster, and the mom just walks over to the side of it and picks him up. And I was judging that like 5-year-old hard.
Joe Gacy versus Nick Gage, the Hoot of the Year for the Always Bear Tanners in 2015.
Now, what
was that?
What's a hoot?
A hoot, that is that would need a nuanced answer that would take much longer than we have this evening to discuss. But you can go read my article. What is a hoot? A journey of hoots through the years that I posted earlier this year. Pretty much the best thing I've ever written and probably will write.
Would you say the writing itself is a hoot?
Some would say.
Found Jimmy Jacobs versus Matt Cage. Good to go. I'm locked and loaded here.
I'm excited to hear your thoughts.
I will return next week with thoughts. I got that saved in a playlist.
I'm positive they do like one thing that really tickles me to the point of me rating it 4.25.
Well, I mean, I like how we basically, like, we made Sam watch a bunch of stuff, and now we've kind of like tricked Dan into watching Jimmy Jacobs and Sexy Star matches.
Well, I misunderstood the assignment. I'm coming up with like what I think are like the top 10 matches of the decades, and you guys are like, remember that shitty episode of Lucha Underground? There's a match that was okay on that. I'm like, sure.
That is a wild misrepresentation.
That feels like what you said to me.
I cannot help you if
actually
your brain
good,
is
Dan.
wired to think like that.
I'm gonna watch it. I'll let you know. I will definitively let you know.
I genuinely think that match fucking rocks. I
also wonder, Sam, that's the opener of this AAW show. I wonder if you're just like, that's 4.25, done with the show, turn it off.
What else is on that show?
Nothing good. You got the Hooligans against Pete Dunne and Malachi Matthews. You got Heidi Lovelace versus David Vega. Christian Faith versus Eric Cannon. The Monster Mafia versus ACH and Lewis and Linden. They do this cool thing where they keep putting like the good workers in with terrible workers. Eddie Kingston versus Shane Hollister. Gargano versus Ciampa.
This might have been when I was like reviewing these AAW shows.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that. I was like,
hoping that was almost the first time Gargano and Ciampa wrestled. They had won in a match before that in England. which went to a time limit draw of 1644. Pro wrestling will
Beautiful.
always be the best.
I love that. I love that. I was doing some real stuff on my blog back in the day, so I'm figuring out.
When are you gonna start doing a weekly review for Violent People? I can't just keep putting out all these rotten rewatches every week without you returning the favor.
All right, perfect. I will continue my AAW Pro Wrestling TV show reviews from when I.
Oh, so you weren't reviewing like the full events. You were reviewing when they put them on their YouTube as a TV show.
That was a YouTube show. I was
that
big
was like
into YouTube shows.
Yeah, that was a good little hack you had there. Instead of watching like a 3.5 hour show, you're watching a 29-minute show.
I've luckily found my Jimmy Jacobs versus Matt Cage thoughts. So I'm gonna read this later and be like, yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds sick. Or I'll be like, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about here.
You guys remember Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg?
Good match.
Yeah, it was a fucking cool match.
I was there
Where do
live.
you guys have Goldberg in your VP 2010s?
101.
Oh,
Just missed the cut. I hate to see it.
Oh,
It's a damn shame.
that's gonna upset him when I email him. Bill Goldberg at
Hitting every variation of William Goldberg at hotmail.com.
You know who's gonna love it though? Fucking Bret Hart.
Oh yeah.
Fuck Bret Hart.
When I email him at bretthart at excite.ca.
I think Bret Hart's much more likely to reply.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's gonna be like, let me see this list.
We need to get Bret Hart's thoughts on Lucha Underground.
I was trying to. I can't remember who it was. I feel like there was some. There's some AIW. I like to always bring up AIW when I can. There's some AIW undercard match that just did Bill Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar, and I think that's funny. Is that do you think we did the big top there, Sam?
I think we nailed it. I think we absolutely freaking crushed it, guys.
That's the definitive list of the best matches, yeah.
That was just an us listing cool shit. And guess what? It was all cool shit. You should watch it, except that Sexy Star match because I can't really confirm or deny, but you can watch. You can definitely watch it. It's been vetted by one person here.
Would you recommend so you're saying you'd think that Matt Cage versus Jimmy Jacobs better than that Sexy Star match?
It has to be.
All right.
Dan, report back.
Would you say it was better than Pentagon versus the 3 Stardom wrestlers? Where the entire episode was Pentagon versus Mayu, Kairi, and Io Shirai.
We love indie wrestling.
Io Shirai jumped off the fucking crow's nest thing. I can't believe that I'm the sole flag bearer for Lucha Underground.
No, I like the good stuff from Lucha Underground.
Then why don't you remember it?
Oh god.
I remember liking I haven't revisited it, but I remember at the time enjoying the Chochi match.
I think it's awesome that Pentagon is basically still eating out on Lucha Underground.
Yeah, it's awesome. I respect it.
So much of people loving 2024 Pentagon is based off of like people really loving 2014 Pentagon.
It's so cool.
Plus, it had arguably the last great Vampiro match until his casket this past year.
Very true. That match is awesome.
It's fucking. I was kind of like, what do I want to pick for Lucha Underground? And I'm like, Go with the off the wall one. See if anyone else has any feelings on it whatsoever. And I was bitterly disappointed.
Yeah, I do not. I straight up don't remember that match either.
If you would have mentioned Pentagon versus Vampiro, I think people would have had thoughts.
Yeah. So
maybe Killshot versus Dante Fox.
Yeah, that's
Phoenix Mil Mortis. Like I think people are gonna have thoughts about those.
All the Ivelisse matches.
Oh my god.
I don't think that show is that good.
All right, well, Sam, it sounds like you're just being contrary.
No, you're trying to give it a lot of credit. We're like, just give the credit to Wrestling Society X.
That's the real winner there.
Wait. Was Wrestling Society X in the 2010s?
No. If it was, it'd be the promotion of the decade.
It was far more influential.
I was gonna say, like, I was remembering it as not being in the 2010s. If otherwise, like.
No, but I just think any influence that we're gonna credit Lucha Underground, we just give that to Wrestling Society X instead.
That's the right call. That's the right call.
I think they kind of brought two different like Wrestling Society X kind of elevated like a lot of the PWG AIW guys stocks, and Lucha Underground elevated a lot of Luchador stocks.
Wrestling Society X elevated what professional wrestling could be and should be.
Well, it brought an X factor to it, where the X stood
you better fucking believe a 6 factor actually.
That'd be so sick if like fucking Circle 6 announced like we are now Wrestling Society 6.
Hell yeah.
Get 6-pack on the line. It is time for the Wacky Line. Hey there, folks.
What a transition.
I rhymed the two words together that are the same word. It's very cool. Fool with our first question. What's the coolest way to die in a ring? And for confirmation, I have confirmed he was not saying these things actually had to happen. So we're not referencing. You don't need to reference an actual wrestler's death in a ring.
Okay.
The coolest way to die in the ring.
I'm going to go as not a wrestler, but as a fan rushing the ring and trying to attack a wrestler and then suddenly dropping dead.
Very good. Very good.
See, I don't know if I have
the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing, but the wrestler drops dead.
Before the fan even gets to him.
The fan gets him, and the wrestler just spontaneously has a heart attack and just looks like he died of fright.
See, what I want is I don't know if it's a stroke or a heart attack, something that kills me in the ring. Austin's neck, and he still made sure he did the roll up. Like, I want to make sure that I go over. Like, have the heart attack, roll up 1, 2, 3, dead. I'm not putting anyone over on the way out.
Someone's doing like a Weekend at Bernie's Yoshihiko style match with your body.
Oh, I don't hate that either. Again, as long as I go over.
I think the obvious coolest way to die is to die in an exploding ring death match.
Answer.
And to be exploded. I think to me that was the only answer. But you do you. Moving on to Eamon's question. Which actors would have made good pro wrestlers? I think Mario Lopez could have had a run somewhere. Pat?
That's right. That was part of the question, right? That's not Sam's answer.
That was not me answering the question.
Okay, the only, like, the first and only thought I had on this is Jackie Chan.
Oh, yeah.
Would have crushed.
Like, it should be completely self-evident. So why? Possibly also Cynthia Rothrock.
Ooh.
That's a good one. That's a good one. It's not too late. It's not too late.
Yeah, I mean, if MLW can open up the wallet for her, I would watch MLW.
Yeah, you really martial artists kind of the cheat code. Like,
Well, I think in the case of Jackie Chan, he has like an ineffable Jackie Chan quality.
Oh yeah, he's got charisma out the wazoo, and like you can see him working any kind of match.
Yeah, like I wouldn't put like Jet Li in WWE, but I would put Jackie Chan.
I could see a Scott Adkins run.
Sure. That could make
But then
money.
what would Jesse V. Johnson do? Well, who would he make movies with?
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Dan, you got any shouts here?
I mean, I don't know. I think of like someone like Charles Bronson. I want someone I think that look cool if they like gig. And I think he'd look cool with like blood running down his face. Yeah, I don't know.
So
Warner
I have
Hurt-
a question. I want to get people's thoughts on this.
Hugh Jackman
Tom
would just
Cruise.
be a better MJF.
Who'd you say?
Hugh Jackman. Just a better MJF all around. Every fiber of his being. Just like a better version of that.
What was
I want to get
Pat,
I
go.
want to get the vibe check on this. Do we think Tom Cruise would be a good professional wrestler? Like,
Oh,
obviously he would.
He'd be a good mini.
But
Good mini.
He'd have a great match with Damus.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise versus Masquerita Sagrada.
But yeah, I want to see Werner Herzog versus Klaus Kinski. Put them both in there.
I
put him in
think
cage.
Tom cares too much about his image.
Oh, Tom's never.
Oh, he's
never
going
taken
over.
a pen. Yeah.
He ain't losing.
And if he does, he's
Tom
gonna
Cruise.
do the Suzuki. He's gonna.
Yeah, I was
He's
gonna
gonna
say
dog
Tom Cruise versus Hideki Suzuki.
Herzog Klaus Kinski exploding ring death match would.
Yeah, that would rule.
And you know that
Real-
whatever the finish they agreed to, Kinski would not. Kinski would get out there and would just immediately go into business for himself.
Oh, it's a
for
shoot.
sure.
Yeah.
All right. Any other answers to this question?
No, I'm pretty
Cool
happy with it.
beans. I'm not going to ask this question. So I'm going to skip it. Dan, I'll let you vet for future asking. Shrimp Biscuit 420, former guest of the show. If you can go back in time to any point in wrestling history and change one single thing, what would it be?
My first thought is that during the Mariposa Sexy Star match, I'd change the finish.
You'd have Mariposa go over?
You got to have Mariposa go over. She's a
No.
better worker.
Yeah, but that's not what Lucha Underground was about. Lucha Underground was about feeling and vibes and aura.
Mm.
It was about cinema.
Sexy Star was her.
I don't have a good answer for this. I'm trying to think of something. That's like, I don't know.
What would I would go back and I would make sure Owen's safety harness was even looser.
Maybe that would save him.
I would
This
kill
is
Chris
this is
Benoit when
this
he's a
is
baby.
this is to guarantee Bret Hart's response to our emails.
It feels like there's just too many awful, real life awful things in wrestling. That's all my brain goes to. It's like, I'd like to stop that tragedy. Ooh, I wish that horrible thing didn't happen.
What else are you gonna do?
I would
Man.
simply kill Vince. I
That's
would
a good
simply
one.
kill him.
Ain't that the truth?
That's a good one.
And then I would put the gun in Rita Chatterton's hand.
Well, that all right.
You got to balance it out. You kill Vince, but then you frame Rita Chatterton for murder.
Just let her kill him. Let her pull the trigger. Seems fair. It's not framing. It's just helping along. His follow-up question does not need to be answered. Do you have any thoughts on Saw? We have asked
I
and answered.
feel covered. Yeah.
Rewind to the beginning of the episode, listen to it all again, and then eventually get back to the point.
All right, I'm scrolling for more questions. What
Well, Sam
MMA fighter?
scrolls.
Yep.
I had a question. You guys see that they're doing a Schlack versus Ninja Mac death match?
I did see that.
That's gonna be so awesome. Like, and by awesome I mean it's probably gonna be fucking terrible, but it's gonna be so awesome.
Yeah, I'll watch that.
It's gonna be for
Oh.
Seven's King of the Deathmatch tournament, so it's gonna be in front of like 13 people.
I'll eat that garbage.
So Sam, you were saying you had another question for us?
What MMA fighters would you put in 2000's CZW?
Oh, Tito Ortiz, just for the promos.
Tito versus Justice Spain.
Just, imagine unhinged Tito Ortiz, like in the decidedly unwoke 2000 Jersey, Rahway Rec Center atmosphere. Just like a fucking, supernova of cancellation.
Now, see, I was thinking two different ways on this one. Where there's one where like this could be a cheat code to get MMA fighters we know are actually good workers. Like you could put Boss Rutan or Brock Lesnar on these shows, and they can actually work. Stephan Bonner. But then I thought like maybe you should just get a bunch of guys like Mighty Mouse and just any Genki Sudo, any small MMA fighter, and just throw them in there with like SATs and the Backstreet Boys, and like just they can do flips, they can base, I'm sure.
They should do, Giant Silva versus Insane Dragon. I mean,
Oh,
I think that would be awesome.
I got one. What if CM Punk was wrestling like Chris Hero?
Oh my god. Pretty good.
What if they went 92 minutes
All right.
and they were
I think we're onto
destroying
something
part of the
here.
building while they had their match?
My actual answer is just Ken Shamrock, so we could watch Ken Shamrock versus Zandig for the World's Most Dangerous retrospective.
Those two like violently unhealthy men. I love that.
We're coming here for.
Sam, you got any?
Sammy Schilt. A real MMA fighter. Tall as hell. Love him to death.
Who was the guy from the early UFC shows where he was like a fucking like strip mall karate teacher?
I have no fucking clue.
There was some guy, I can't remember his name to save my life, but he, it was like,
Is it like Keith
when
something?
Keith something, like Keith Hackett or Keith Jackoff or something.
Keith
and
Hackney.
Yes, him.
Did he win and he beat Joe's son by punching him in the dick a bunch, right?
I believe so.
In one of the early
That might
UFCs,
have
he
been-
just beat him in the dick, I think.
This was when like UFC, like no one had quite figured out that like grappling beats every other form of martial arts. So like the Gracies were just kind of like, haha, we have the cheat code. But they would bring in like, okay, this guy's skill is Taekwondo. And just all those like lunatics they brought in, like, the guys who like would, claim that they invented their own fighting styles and they're like walking into the octagon with a beer gut. Like those guys should have migrated to CZW.
One, I don't know the grappling rules all, because I think Keith Hackney was in a submission when he decided to just start punching Joe's son's dick. But two, I can't remember who it was. There was someone from the early UFC I posted forever ago on the Discord that they come out on some MMA show and their record's like 103, but it's really like
Yes.
their second fight.
Yeah, because
there's just no one. There's no SureDog. There's no Wikipedia. There's
Right.
like, you're 103. Good for you, bud.
like all those guys should have just like migrated to the fucking Flyers skate zone.
That's a good answer.
All right. Moving along, scrolling. From Tsunami Poppy. What mid-carder had the most aura ever?
Scotty Too Hottie.
Mid-carder had the most aura ever. Like in any company ever? Is there a time frame narrowed down?
No, ever.
See, I almost said
Never.
Jey Uso, but he's main event Jay.
Yeah.
So
That's
that doesn't
so
make any
fucking
sense.
true.
That doesn't. I'm sorry.
I think you gave me the most chills.
We've covered him about Gangrel.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's the answer. Never
Gangrel.
pushed anywhere, and always the coolest motherfucker on the show.
I was gonna say Hardcore Holly.
If only they had a Gangrel versus Hardcore Holly match so we could judge.
If only.
I do remember that there was a bit on some episode of like SmackDown or something like that where Hardcore Holly just straight up calls Gangrel Fat Dracula.
Ain't wrong. Love him. Not anyway. I love him because of it.
Cover a Gangrel
Yeah, I mean,
Rock match.
I'm
soon.
hard pressed to come up with a better answer than either of those. But I feel like it was probably someone in like 1999 to 2000s WWF.
That sounds about right. All right. Okay. Eamon, with one more. I don't know if we want to cut any of these questions off at the end here, but if you had to compete against the other VPR hosts in a game show or on a TV show, which show would you have the best chance of winning on? Dan, do you have any answers?
I feel rude doing this, but like my first thought was like American
Jeopardy.
Gladiators or The Challenge or Survivor, anything physical, because most of the day today was spent with my fellow hosts telling me how they were falling apart physically. So now it's just me and Sam. So that's like I just help my odds. It's 50-50.
No, my
a
social
great
game is destroying you in Survivor. I am.
Well,
You're not here to make friends.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking more American Gladiator or like Wipeout or something where like beforehand, like Chris, surveys the obstacle course and is just like, I wouldn't be able to walk tomorrow. See you guys later.
Yeah,
Look, as long as I wouldn't have to use my shoulder or my neck, I'd be good.
No, I'm picturing there's monkey bars. You're out.
Yeah, that's the one thing about Survivor. The one thing outside of my various health issues. But yeah, I mean, I'm destroying you social game and tactics wise in Survivor.
I did beat 2/3 of my fellow hosts in a trivia game.
Oh, we didn't go head to head.
I don't think you did very well, is what Tanner said.
That was Sam. I lost by
No.
a point.
I did make it to a later stage than you, if I recall.
He made it to the finals, yeah. Me and Sam were both in the finals.
Yeah.
But you are right. I was thinking of Sam's group where the score was like ridiculously low. You're right about that, Chris. I apologize.
I did make it to the finals, actually, so I'm not sure what we're talking about here, folks.
Yeah, I believe I would have won in any other group.
Oh, were you in Skylar's then? That makes sense. Yeah. I beat that motherfucker too, though. So what are you gonna do?
We'll have to settle it.
Yeah.
Play a game that I think really tests one's like intelligence, like understanding of like just trivia, as well as like the physicality, or like being able to run, jump, move, dig through things. I would be doing Double Dare.
Yes.
I'd be doing Double Dare in an instant, and I would win so bad.
When you said dig, I was like, yep, Double Dare.
It's gotta be Double Dare. Gotta be Double Dare.
The people who listen to this show do not know what Double Dare is.
That can't be true. That can't be true. You say that, and it hurts me to think that might be true.
No. I think the people who listen to this show will know what it is. The people on our Discord, are an entirely separate group.
None of the people we're referencing as being young have the attention span to make it. What are we at? An hour and 49 minutes in. No way.
Yeah. No, they're too busy watching fucking Dream Slam 90.
I'm not saying. Got him.
You think Mark Summers would be on the show?
Well, now I'm not even saying I'd win, but now I just want to play Legends of the Hidden Temple with you guys.
I want to do that, and I also want to get Mark Summers on Saw Thots.
The
I
best,
have lots of thoughts.
the best part of Legends of the Hidden Temple is when they very poorly describe the game that's about to happen, and then none of the kids know what the fuck is going on.
They're all looking around at each other.
Man, Nickelodeon, folks, they were fucking on when it came to game shows. Insane. What were they cooking? What were they cooking?
Kirk Fogg is just yelling nonsense at these very confused children
Kirk Fogg.
who are having panic attacks.
How many of those kids do you think are traumatized for life from fucking Aztec temple guards like grabbing them out of nowhere?
Oh, that's fucked up, dude.
And that one didn't make any sense. It was just like, you got grabbed. Well, yeah, there's a grown man in here.
Oh, man. Like, Guts is just like the version of American Gladiators for kids, but also amazing, incredible.
I was gonna say I would smoke you guys at the aggro crag because it's made for little kids. So like my injuries wouldn't play into it at all. I'd just be like, all right, I'm fucking 6 feet tall. I'm just climbing to the top of this thing.
That's an advantage, yeah. I gotta ask you guys, do you have it?
Fuck. Nick Arcade, very much ahead of the game. Knew where society was going. I underrated one. Finders Keepers. I'm just saying. I know what I'm going to be doing for killing time for the next 2 weeks.
I can't wait to 2 weeks from now when they're like, do you watch those wrestling matches, Dan? I'm like, no, but I've
I'm looking up on eBay, piece of the aggro crag.
Oh, how much is it going for?
What? I mean, they've done like commercial, like ones you can just buy. But I want to see if anyone's selling. Like, I was on fucking Guts in 1992, and I'm selling this to not get my house foreclosed.
Oh man, I got a guy on freaking Reddit that posted his, and it looks awesome.
Let me see. This is a Nick Arcade who got 84 episodes. That's not bad. I can work with that.
Well, yeah, because they probably filmed like 6 of them a day.
It's like the domain for violent people doesn't get renewed, but I have a sweet ass piece of the aggro crap. Oh god. Sorry, now we're www.squarespace.com/violent people until our free trial runs out.
Okay. I've decided I don't want to ask any more questions.
Do we want to this week?
We can't. We have a slew that I'll put in the hopper. I probably won't, folks. You'll probably have to ask them again.
And remember, you guys got a whole extra week to come up with actually good questions next time.
Hey, to comment on the Discord, they've actually been great. They went from never giving me a question to giving us some that are so good that like I think they need to be main topics.
We talked about this before the show. We're negging.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
They do better.
I don't want to neg the Discord. Most of them are children.
Our website got canceled for negging children.
Our website, if we did ads, we would be sustainable based on the Hackenschmidt piece, but we didn't do that. So unfortunately, we'll be figuring out ways to pay them bills. Anyway,
or
go
we
to
could just
violentpeople.co.
get that many of people to read our other stuff. Think about it.
None of it's. We're not getting paid for anything, Dan. What do you mean? Go to the other stuff.
No, put ads up there, and then I'll just bring in
Oh, okay.
I'll throw another Hackenschmidt match up there. I got a few hanging on my hard drive.
Pay Dan $5 for whatever Hackenschmidt he has on his hard drive, and that will pay off the site. There we go. We have fundraised for 2025. Anyway, you can go follow us on Blue Sky at violentpeople.bsqi.social. Since that's where I'm posting currently, I have tried to do stuff there. Twitter is very much still alive and kicking. I just can never tell if it's actually posting there or not. By all accounts, the Twitter is working as intended. Is that correct, Dan?
Yes, I believe it is. Yes. I don't know why I said that. I know it is.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you know it is. I think one time in the past 2 weeks, it missed an article, and I was like, it's broken. I'm not dealing with this ever again.
I think it just fixed itself as far as I know.
Yeah, that's how Twitter works with our publishing thing that we use. Anywho, anywhere else have anything else they would like to plug for the week?
We have a most violent, most dangerous retrospective. I don't know the name of what it is. We have one of those coming out tomorrow, I think, right?
If I scheduled it correctly, it should be coming out tomorrow.
And then I think I'm Dan Rice VP on Blue Sky, but I'm not 100% sure how that works.
Well, if you made it this far into the episode, the least you can do is go give us like a 5-star review on Apple Podcast or wherever the fuck you're listening to this from. Help us juice the algorithm. That's what we really want as our Thanksgiving miracle. A juiced algorithm. And yeah, I also want to plug fucking Lucha Underground. More people should watch that.
That's a wrap.